I'm resident of Colwood for YouTube, Jules Sage, joined by the author of the Dark Shadows Daybook, Patrick McCray, my buddy Gordon Dymowski, Patrick McCray. They're both here. We're here to discuss episode 508, narrated by the lovely Laura Parker, written by Sam Hall. So, guys, this episode, I'm gonna guess why Gordon. I think I know why Gordon chose this, but Gordon, why don't you tell us why you chose this one?
Well, I did it for a couple of reasons. One's a little bit more academic, which we'll get to later. But the first is that I think that the Adam storyline and the Dream Curse storyline are very underrated. These were the storylines that got me hooked into Dark Shadows. I mean, I like the whole procedural Barnabas thing. Then 1795, I appreciated it, but this was the storyline that grabbed my attention.
Same, Gordon. Just
hello,
butt in. Same with me. Same with me.
And I don't know if the Dream Curse was something that the writers thought up, or if they pulled it from something really obscure. But it was, you could tell it's they're trying to, okay, now that we've done this, let's see if we can go all in on the supernatural with something familiar, Frankenstein, and something that is kind of offbeat. So I did that. And the second more academic reason is that it's basically Stokes delivers the final whomping on the Dream Curse and calls out Angelique. And I want to do a compare and contrast. So you've got Stokes, but earlier on in the Phoenix storyline, you had Peter Guthrie, who is the very staid parapsychologist. And as people, viewers of this podcast know, what will happen is Jewel will usually pick an episode from that early first 210 episodes, and he'll promote it. He'll try to play himself off as the baby face, and then turn Patrick and I into the heels. And let me say a nice thing about Peter Guthrie. He's not a bad character, but he's a very stock character. So if you were to tune in any like show where you needed a parapsychologist, you'd have a character like Peter Guthrie. He's very staid, very formal. But in this episode, Thayer David is very Holmesian. I mean, he kicks off the episode talking about how he envied St. George because now he has his own dragon to slay. He's very upfront. He talked about his interest in the occult. He's very direct. He's not the kind of scientist archetype. I mean, the funny thing is, I thought Thayer David may have played Holmes at some point. He didn't, but he was in a production of Baker Street as Moriarty. So this is Thayer David.
Great show. I love that show.
Mm-hmm. So this is where Thayer David, and I think Thayer David is actually kind of relieved at this point, because this is the first Dark Shadows role where he gets to bathe and wear suits. And so I think it's a really good episode. It's because it's split into the Stoke takes down the Dream Curse, and then you've got the follow up leading to Sam Evans and Adam. But that's the rough summary.
Patrick, what did you think?
I love this episode. This, not only is this the storyline that really got me, and I think of this as sort of like prime core Dark Shadow. But this is the episode that got me, because the supernatural is always so hoity-toity, and we lord power over everyone else, make them do whatever they want. And this was one where there was someone who was able to say, maybe not. And I think that is just fantastic. I mean, I love it. So I love his arrogance. I love his that he's prepared for everything that she's going to have, and he kind of belittles it, and it's just such a pleasure, and I can feel like Sam Hall had been waiting for so long for someone to hand somebody like Angelique her lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And Stokes does. And the fact that it's not some barrel-chested, a good-looking type.
Wait, you're not saying you are denying that Thayer David is not good looking nor barrel chested?
He's
It's a
barrel-chested.
smoke show.
He is, but he's barrel everything. So I didn't say the word chode, but he is a formidable man. So but he's not your typical leading man. Let's face it, Timothy Elliott Stokes. Men want him, women want to be him.
Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that you mentioned Dr. Guthrie. We've had Dr. Peter Guthrie. We've got Dr. Julia Hoffman. We've got Professor Stokes. 3 different characters, 3 different approaches to how to handle the supernatural and how to really investigate it, if you will. And I like that because it would have been all too easy for the Dark Shadows writers to copy and paste and repeat. They don't. They create 3 distinct characters and they make each their own from a writing standpoint. And you have 3 very talented actors, 2 actors, an actress, who know how to play really smart characters, each their own way. And with Stokes, he's really the first person outside of Julia, if you will, to sort of, I'm not giving in to you, in a sense. He also wants to reveal this witch, and he does. He's ready to take her on. And he even says to Julie, even you think it's a woman. So I'm not, he thought it was just himself. And so now you have, when he falls asleep, he does everything he says he's going to do. He makes sure that the person who's knocking at the door answers him. He lets himself in the room. He says the nursery rhyme, and then he tells Angelique to reveal herself. He tells, reveal yourself. Who's like, he even says who's laughing. And Angelique says Ben Stokes, and he goes, I'm Timothy Stokes. That's the thing.
Yep.
Angelique makes a real critical mistake with a lot of these characters, and that lets you know the mistake she's really making. She's viewing not just Timothy as Ben, but she's viewing Roger as Joshua. She's viewing Elizabeth as Naomi. That's a really big mistake to do that for that character. And it lets you know that her doing that from an underestimation standpoint is going to be her downfall, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Even she has her limits. And when she decides to do something like operate in a dream, which is all about suggestion, it's about illusion. It's not real kind of magic. Well, gosh, she's in for some trouble because she counts on her opponent being unprepared and being irrational and being scared. And Elliott Stokes is none of those things.
I'm going to give credit.
And it's about time Dark Shadows gave us a Bonnie Tyler style hero.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give credit where credit's due. Mark Gilman pointed this out to me. This is very sort of Nightmare on Elm Street-esque, before Nightmare on Elm Street existed. Mm-hmm. And in a lot of ways, it is. I sort of wonder if Wes Craven was a DS fan. I don't know, but it would be.
Never know.
Like Angelique's Dream Curse, what do you find out about our characters? What they fear most, or what their fear is. And when you watch Nightmare on Elm Street, what does Freddy live off of? Fear. fear of someone's dreams, and dying, death. Nightmare on Elm Street is about death coming for you in your sleep, and in a way, Angelique's dream curse is sort of similar in that nature. I mean, she says to Stokes, you'll die here, and you even have Sam Evans say, "You'll die in there," and he goes, "No."
You almost said Sam Loomis.
Yeah, I almost did too. Sam Evans.
I know you did. Yeah.
Sam Evans says, "You'll die in there." He goes, "No, I won't."
Yeah, I love how Stokes doesn't even say no, I won't. He says, "Sure, I'll die. I'll die in my own bed of natural causes." And Thayer David makes it sound like it's an improvisation when it's not.
Mm-hmm.
What did you guys think of? I like how they did Adam at the end of this episode. He's getting ready to stab Sam, but before that, Sam tells Joe that he doesn't need help inside the house. I love how they end this episode. Adam isn't saying anything. He's just got the butcher knife raised up in his hand.
It kind of says it all. It kind of does. It makes its own gravy. How long have we thought Adam is dead now? How long have they let that go on? It's been a few weeks. I wonder. Because that's Adam after he goes over the Widow's Hill, right?
Yeah, this is after he goes off of Widow's Hill. His face, by the way, the next time you see him, his face is a bit more messed up than what it was. He's injured pretty badly, but he's still able to hold a butcher knife. Why not? He's our first survivor.
He's a man. He's a real man. Man created of other men. Yeah.
What did you guys think of that with Adam? Coming into the Evans home, it looks like we know he's not going to murder Sam, but it looks like he might here. What did you guys think of that cliffhanger?
It looks like he's going to murder him to me. It's a great cliffhanger.
Yeah, it's the kind of cliffhanger that's like, oh crap, we can't miss this tomorrow. Yeah. Especially at a time when you didn't have any way to record it, or you couldn't go on streaming. It's like you could see a kid, even if he catches the last 5 minutes of this episode, going, "Oh, I want to see if the scarred guy stabs the blind guy."
Oh my God, yeah, and they even put blood on him. I mean, standards and practices must have really had Curtis must have just gone after them with a 9-iron. You're not touching a frame, not a frame.
Yeah, I
could see my way.
I could see some standards and practices person coming up to Dan Curtis and saying, "You need to cut the blood," and Curtis is like, "Listen, I'm Dan Curtis. I got a golf iron here. Okay, now there are many ways you can use a golf iron. I suggest you leave before I show you one of them."
Do you guys think that Sam Hall maybe studied like some sort of dream therapy for this?
No.
Yeah,
I'd like to, but
yeah, I kind of get the sense, and again, it's the interesting thing about the dream curse. I don't know the way it's written. You could easily see where they might have taken something that was a reference in a book and stretched it out. But this kind of, to me, feels more like something they came up as can we do something that isn't based on something else? You know what I mean? Like the Adam storyline is based on Frankenstein, and there's nothing wrong with that. They actually do a much better job than any other Frankenstein movies to date. But with the Dream Curse, I know everyone complains because it's kind of repetitive and looping, but just the whole concept of something that you have a dream, you're compelled to tell someone, and they have the same dream, and they're compelled to tell someone. It doesn't feel like something you would. It doesn't feel cribbed from any place.
So that's the thing. I like how they did the Dream Curse and Adam, and how, because to me it made Adam even more important.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, this Dream Curse, a lot of characters have put it over, and that's great. But you also need a counteractive for it. And they've said, we know the rules for Adam. We know that as long as Adam lives, Barnabas will be cured. But if Adam dies, Barnabas will be a vampire again. So I like the fact that, okay, here's the importance. Here's why this dream curse, and it's not in this episode, but they basically say by the end of this, here's why this dream curse doesn't work. It's where science is versing magic, and science is going to be your winner here.
Well, let me maybe give a little bit more nuance, because when you look at Peter Guthrie, he is a character who is essentially steeped in science. Even though we know parapsychology is a pseudoscience, he is very much on the science side. With Julia, she kind of straddles both. She's a scientist who's coming into the supernatural.
Yeah.
Stokes is the guy who's supernatural. He's into the occult, but he has the learning to be rational about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think too, when you look at the difference between like the three characters, Guthrie walked into a situation with, I'm not going to make an assumption. I'm going to neutrally investigate. With and that's the key difference too when you look at Hoffman compared to Guthrie too, that Hoffman had a Maggie Evans who she could go off of, who she was getting somewhat information out of. Guthrie's information is somewhat limited because it's not like he could talk to Elizabeth. He can only talk to Carolyn, who he can hear it in Carolyn's tone of voice, and basically making the accusation, Roger's wife did everything. It's like he can't just make that assumption or accusation. He has to prove things, beyond a shadow of a doubt, in a sense. And he doesn't directly accuse Laura right away. Mm-hmm. He lets the evidence build to a degree. With Julia, she comes in knowing the last name Collins means something to Maggie. So she uses that to get in Collins. Says, I'm this historian who's writing this book. Yeah, bullshit. You're not, but that's cool. And then she uses this compact mirror and sees that Barnabas has no reflection. She sees the coffin, obviously. And then she just waits for Barnabas to show up in her room and says, hey, I can possibly cure you. Things are different. 100 some odd years ago, things were different. Now they're different now here too. But I have maybe the technology to cure you, or the medicine to cure you. And she tries it. It's more Barnabas's fault, I feel, that it doesn't work, because he says, oh, give me this injection. And it backfires and makes him old enough to get his AARP card, at least from a look standpoint. With Professor Stokes, you're right. He has the benefit of, he knows about the occult. He studied the occult, and he knows the effects of it. It's sort of like why he says to Barnabas, well, I'll show you the medallion when you show me the witch. Like, come on here. Like, I'm not stupid, and don't treat me as such. It's sort of a similar quote that Lucius Fox says something to Bruce Wayne. You don't have to tell me what you're doing, but don't treat me like an idiot, because I'm not. That's basically Professor Stokes. He's not an idiot. Don't treat him like one. I'd like a little more information, but you're obviously not going to give it to me.
Yeah.
On a tangent there.
No, it was good.
Mm-hmm.
What's you guys' favorite scene in this episode?
Oh, the dream curse. Yeah, I mean, the confrontation. It's one of Dark Shadow's great scenes.
Yeah, it's just it's so great, because by this point we're led to believe that Angelique is this relatively powerful individual, and that where she somehow transcended time. She now has black hair. She looks like Elizabeth Taylor somewhat. And I think that just that scene where Stokes is going mano a mano, there's a greater confidence. in that scene. I mean, this is Sam Hall. I could see Sam Hall writing the script, and it's like, okay, I'll do the introductory scene. This is the scene where he said, "I've got an idea," and he just ran with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Hold my drink.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. Was the character Mysterio in Marvel at the time?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Could he have gotten some
that was years
inspiration from
before.
that character? With the Dream Curse a bit?
Well, okay. I've got some bad news for you. And bad news for me too. Matthew Hall confirmed to me that Sam was not reading his Marvel comics while on the John.
Oh wow.
So
man.
So Sam was, but here's where it's interesting. So Sam and Gordon, but I think it's probably especially Sam, they were inventing all of this stuff that had these Marvel-esque themes, real story themes. They're very similar to what you see in Marvel, but they were doing it independently of Marvel, which is an opportunity for some good research and exploration. What was going on in the 60s and in the 50s that gave both Sam and Marvel these interesting lights and approaches. They're both drinking from the same well.
Yeah, I like in this episode when when Thayer Davids says to Laura Parker's character Angelique, he calls her Cassandra. He recognizes her as Cassandra. And he goes, "You think I would forget what you look like?" I think that's such a great little, okay, I'm not, again, she's underestimating him. She's sort of treating him as ignorant as Ben was. And he's having none of it because he's not. This is not Ben's stakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great reversal.
It is. In the classroom, she was Wayne Knight and he was Sharon Stone. The sweaty lip, everything. He crossed those legs and she was gone.
Mm-hmm.
No wonder he remembered her. I remember one of the first big belly laughs Gordon ever got out of me was, I think he signed something in a Dark Shadows group on Prodigy as T. Elliott Shaft.
I thought that was you.
No, that was you. You did that.
Okay,
you did that.
I don't remember, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, proper attribution. It was you.
Did you guys like how the Dream Curse set was designed, all the doors?
Did I like it?
Yeah.
It did the job it was supposed to do. It does represent the low point in Dark Shadows special effects in a lot of places, because you see so much of the, you see the stick that the dog's head is on and so on, but that doesn't make it bad. It is very hard though to look through my bad eye and go like this when I'm watching it, because as I've said before, everything was possible on Dark Shadows because nothing was possible.
Yeah,
but this really stretches what nothing is.
Yeah, and I've always thought Dark Shadows did a really, really one of the first places where you could see their effort to just be kind of surreal for its own sake. I mean, yeah, and because it's so minimal, it's like, okay, you've got the doors. They run the weird background where at some point you expect the door to open and see Van Williams and Bruce Lee come in as the Green Hornet and Kato.
Yes.
But it's, and you could tell that Dark Shadows at the time, it was like, okay, how do we do this? And it's some guy in the gallery going, well, if I push this button and pull this lever, we can do the swirly thing. Do that.
I'm sure Dan Curtis was given a swirly to many writers.
I think it was really clever what they ended up coming up with. Here's a bunch of these doors, and each person has their own door, which I like. I mean, it may not sound scary, but the way Dark Shadows pulls this off, it gives a certain terror aspect to it.
I do think if I ever do that making of Dark Shadows docudrama series, there does have to be a shot of a writer coming out of the men's room with his hair kind of in a weird swirl sticking up, and Gordon says, another writing conference with Dan, I see. I don't know how you guys do it. Brill cream.
Oh my God. Is there anything you guys want to add about episode 508?
It is everything good. It is both Dark Shadows and it is the anti-Dark Shadows, because of how it thumbs its nose at the rules that have been established. I love it dearly.
Yeah, it is such a powerhouse episode. It's like you kind of get the sense that the writer's going to look at that and go, yeah, we should do more episodes like that. Not just Thayer David bathe and wear suits, but just more where you've got that, not only that visceral moment with Stokes, but like the end with Sam that leads to Adam, where I think Dark Shadows at this time was really good at balancing the people on the hill aspect with the common folk aspect.
Yeah, which would totally go in Ragnarok.
Mhm.
That's gone. It's just the hill.
Mm-hmm.
How's Sunday for you guys?
Sunday's good for me.
I love it.
Episode for Sunday night at 10:30, episode 1231, 1841 parallel time. So
let's do it.
That's my selection.
All right.
So
consider it selected.
Guys, first of all, thank you for doing these with me. These are a lot of fun. Links to the Dark Shadows Daybook Unbound is going to be in the description box. Links to Gordon Dymowski's Amazon page is going to be in the description box.
How about some links to links to the Audible Dark Shadows Daybook and Dark Shadows Daybook Unbound, read by the fabulous Mary D. Johnson. It'd be great if we could get her for a podcast.
I actually put the audio links in the last one, so I'll do that again here too. For both. It better have come up the last time too. So it did at least before, so it should again now. So links to the audio Dark Shadows Daybook and Dark Shadows Daybook Unbound will be in the description box. Links to Gordon Dymowski's Amazon page will be in the description box. Guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll see you Sunday night, guys.
We will ride with pleasure.
Happy birthday, Julie.
Hey, Julie, happy birthday. Sniff.
Happy birthday, Julie.